We haven't had a chance to speak with you since David made the change.
Yeah.
From your point of view, how does that impact your job as the field manager to have that change in leadership, considering it's someone you know so well in Matt?
Yeah, I mean, I think, we certainly lost somebody who I think's very good at his job, and that means that, and then there's change, and David was the leader, so there's definitely change to our baseball operations. But as far as like who's got the best chance to hit the ground running, for me personally, and I think for the organization, I don't think there's any question that Matt is that guy. So the processes by which we do things don't really change, and I think that allows us to kind of keep moving.
How is Matt in terms of like decision making? He's had a lot of responsibility under David, but now it's like it ultimately stops with the owner.
Yeah.
But in terms of the front office, it ultimately stops with him.
Yeah.
What have you sort of witnessed in terms of his decision making?
Yeah, I mean, I think David would tell you that Matt has been kind of instrumental in building out a lot of like processes and how the organization makes decisions. So that it's kind of his sweet spot, really. And now, but so that part doesn't change, but it's still like anybody tells you, when you sit in the chair, it's different, and you never know what you don't know if you're not doing the job. And so that's the part Matt gets the opportunity to learn about, and you get faced they're harder decisions in his job now.
Yeah.
Right? That's how it works.
He was telling us about your walks. Are those any different now that he's the boss?
No. Well, they're the same. I mean, he lives a little farther away, so I have to walk farther to go to his house. But other than that, they're the same.
In terms of getting ready, is it too early to think, or have you guys already started thinking and talking about how you'll address the rule changes in spring training? Like for pitchers, for some of your pitchers, that's a pretty significant adjustment they're going to have to
make. I mean, I think we haven't like completely focused on it. We have a lot of. The best way to practice it is in the games. So the spring training games are going to be for everybody the biggest, opportunity for that. The other thing I would say is I think we're focused a little too much on with this subject. I think the hitters is just maybe more than the pitchers.
You're not just saying that because you were a hitter?
I'm not. No, I think the hitters are going to have challenges with it as well.
Like in terms of just the pace?
The pace, yes.
Thinking through things?
Yeah.
Do you think it's a significant change, or do you think it's going to be something that guys pick up quickly?
I think they'll adjust to it, and I think it's a good change. So it means that it's on all of us to help change the behavior and help improve it. And I think we all think everybody thinks we can do it, and I think it'll make the game better. And so I think we really owe it to the game to continue to try to do it.
Other managers have sort of said that the running game has changed from their sort of
yeah.
style. And do you sort of think about whether it'll change up how you sort of call for stolen bases, but then also sort of how you want your pitchers managing their limited number of
I think you're probably right. And it will reward players that obviously that can steal bases, and it will put all pitchers in a little bit of a strategy disadvantage with these guys. So that's probably that's something that we started on, frankly, last year, because it's one of those things where it's not important, and then we're going to find out one day that it's important. For example, just like how fast you are to home plate. Like, no, make a pitch. Well, then we're going to find out that being a certain, your delivery being quick enough to home matters in this new world to conserve your pickoff attempts, right? So I think that could be the place where some pitchers get uncomfortable the most. I think we will have instances where the pitch clock causes drama and probably unfortunate drama, but I think it's kind of just, I don't think we'll have a lot of it, and there'll be a game for talk show radio to talk about a lot and us to wring our hands over, but it'll make the game better, and it's on us as managers to the other part with pitchers to help them just manage it and be better at it, and there's probably a little more strategy involved in it.
You said that was something you were already thinking about this past year, knowing that it was coming?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Does that mean
No, just because we had begun talking to our pitchers about why we emphasize finding ways to be good to home plate without picking off. So you can do that by being very quick in your delivery, like in the time. You can do it by varying kind of your holds. You can do it by like going really fast, or holding the ball for a long time and going slow. All those things are like on the table, I think, and should be weapons in a pitcher's kind of arsenal as far as holding runners.
I think it's an interesting example of the fact that like all these rules have very literal intended effects, more offense, more stolen bases, that type of thing. But the strategy is obviously in finding the loopholes or whatever.
Yeah.
How much are you thinking about that with the defensive positioning, I guess? Is that's what the most ideas around loopholes have come in. I haven't heard a loophole that I think is significantly like advantageous at all. I think some people will overthink this one too. I think there's such a thing I think we do that in this game a lot too, and that's bad. So right now, I don't have a great strategy to that. I think it advantages, like our biggest right now on our roster, our biggest advantaged hitter, like with defensive positioning, is Rowdy Tellez. He will get the biggest advantage out of this, and it advantages teams with good defenders, athletic defenders.
Athleticism is a word that we've heard a lot of your fellow skippers throw around today. Do you sort of get that sense that just general athleticism is going to be getting more emphasis going forward?
Yeah, it is being rewarded, and I think that's what we all see, is that the rule changes are rewarding flat out players that can run. That's what's happening. That move well, and that doesn't mean that the most important skill is still going to be around the strike zone, a ball and a strike. That's still number one, but it's a good thing that we're starting to reward the better athletes. I think that's a good thing.
Carl, what have you thought about the trades that have happened recently? You've lost two good big league players in Wong and Renfroe, and good defenders.
Yeah.
Both of them.
Yeah.
Is this a little different than past off seasons, and where the club has kind of added, and now the trade, it's like piece gets taken away in order to add?
Well, I mean, I think that's. I don't know if I like that, because that's just a snapshot to December 5th or whatever. I mean, they will be adding. But I also think that, the reason the way I'm looking at this, and I think it's important to look at it, is that we have young position players that are ready to play in the big leagues. And we have to have players like that. Every team, frankly, does. I don't, maybe not every team, but most teams, you have to develop players from your minor leagues, and then you have to give them a shot. And that's what we're going to be. That's what we're going to do, and that's what's going to happen. And they're good young players, and they're going to be very good major league players. And I'm excited about doing that. That's an exciting thing to be able to do for your organization. And I don't think you have to take a step back. I don't think it means that.
So much can change between now and then, but like right now, as things are at this particular point in time, is Bryce Terang probably the front runner to get most at bats at second?
I think he's one of the players that is in that group. Yeah. I mean, it's Bryson, and then the outfielders that, you know, between Mitchell and Frelick and Ruiz and Weimer, those are all guys that, you know, and even Churio at some point. Those are all guys that, you know, could impact this.
In 23, you think Churio, if things break right?
I don't know.
You said that last year when we opened.
I mean, I don't know why we. Yeah, I mean, I think he did so much that why would you say no to it?
Yeah.
When you missed the postseason by one game, how much are you thinking over every loss in the sort of weeks and months afterwards?
I think it you know, we tell ourselves, I think every team tells, you know, you try to convince yourself that that every game matters, and you play it like it matters to the best of your, you know, still keeping your players healthy. But yeah, I mean, that's just the margins of the game. We play all these games. We play this incredible number of games, and then we know the season for, you know, 8 of the 12 playoff teams is going to come down to the last 5 games of the season. You know, and because that's how thin the margins are, and that's why you use that every year, and you try to make the best of it, and it also just, you know, hopefully when players, you know, we've talked about it because we've made the playoffs, you know, except for maybe 21 in a very as close as you can pull it. So we've lived in that world for a long time, and it's, you know, a couple years we made it, and then last year we didn't.
I know you said that you're not done, so it's not necessarily that you're losing pieces this offseason because there could still be additions. But when you do come so close, I guess, is it hard to see pieces like Colton and like, well, if we just added a little more, maybe
Yeah.
we'd have filled the time.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's I think something in our market that we realize that this is how we're going to have to operate, and it's I don't always find it frustrating. I think it's the world we're in, and I'm good with it. You know? And it just means that what it means is that it's like our off season doesn't look like this other team's off season, and that's okay. But I think we've shown, and everybody in our organization has shown, we can still find a way to put a really good team out on the field, and then players change year to year too, and we know that.
How do you keep that from looming over, like Corbin Burns, Brandon Woodruff? They're coming to that period, and they're...
Well, I think those guys have... I think those guys trust, you know, what we're doing to try to put really good teams on the field. And that's, you know, and I think we've shown that, and they believe in that.
I also meant like that they could be, you know, it's coming where they're going to be the guy that could be on
Well,
the
I
move
mean,
just
there's,
because of where they are.
you know, I mean, look, I mean, players play in the last year of their Trey Turner's just played in the last year of his contract.
Yeah.
I mean, Aaron Judge played in the last year of his contract. You know, that's the life of a player, and that doesn't mean, you know, that they could. I guess Turner can't go back to his old team, but, you know, guys can play in the last year of their contract and end up with their old team. So that's the life of a player, man. Like they deal with players learn to put all that in there, who they are and what they're doing and who they're playing for, and make the best of it.
Craig, you guys have been able to get pretty consistent production from your bullpen year in, year out, which is, it's pretty hard to do. And you've had some constants. Hader was a constant. I think Devin Williams is a constant. But when you think through putting together a bullpen from year to year, how much of it do you have mindset of almost like coming from a clean slate?
Yeah, it's certainly the position that you have to try to wipe away things faster and sort of like what happened last year or even what happened 2 days ago. You have to kind of treat it as a little bit of a cleaner slate. But there are some players that separate themselves for sure, and you have to count on those guys. And it's but it's the position that we're all scared of the volatility in a bullpen. Everybody knows that, and that's because part of it is because they're not getting as many opportunities as we think they're getting. They're just not, and so they can pitch, a bad pitch can, in a couple wrong spots in a season, can make their season look dramatically different. And that's the reality of that job, their profession, unfortunately. So we have to make sure when we evaluate it as objectively as we can, and that's hard to do for everybody in this job.
What do you think you have in Jesse Winker?
I think we think we're getting a really good bat, and a guy who's hit at a really, really high level. He didn't hit at that level last year. That's why he was available. But we think he's a player that is going to return to those levels that he hit at.
Do you chalk that up to just physical stuff he was fighting through? Have you got to talk to him about that?
I mean, I think he had physical issues last year. There's no question about it. But I think Jesse would tell you the same thing. It's like you don't get to there's no do-over. There's not. I didn't have a good year. What else are you going to say? You can why until you kind of change that. Job is to now to figure out just to be better, and that's what we try to do.
And how about Toro, the other guy in that trade? He's played a kind of bunch of positions.
Yeah.
But it's the bat that's kind of been the thing that's where teams want it. They expect a lot from the bat.
I mean, so Abraham's he's a player who made it to the big leagues at a young age. And kind of, varying amounts of success. He's, struggled a little bit at times, but had some success. And he's young, and keep note of players that can stick in the big leagues for the most part and make their debuts at that age, and know that now he has 1,000 plate appearances under his belt, and good time for him to take the next step.
Around a bunch.
Yeah, he's I would see him in multiple positions. Yeah, absolutely.